It's real breakfast hours.
Eat breakfast if you up.
Today's breakfast is... So, I did have a few bites of a blueberry donut, but mostly what I had for breakfast is I went out for lunch and got avocado eel sushi, which was very yummy.
I just had a couple of eggs, English muffins, some sausage, coffee, and orange juice. Very normal. Welcome.
Welcome back to another real breakfast hour.
Number 12.
It is number 12.
We do one of these.
What do you gotta do when it's 20-something? Beautiful.
Just throw up one of these, I don't know.
Just gonna need like a sign.
What? Yes, I should get like a whiteboard
Yeah.
or something I can draw the numbers on.
That'd be good. I'm always thinking of the decor in the back row, because it's really just the black, or not the black, sorry, the white walls.
Yeah.
Maybe one could have a whiteboard for you to draw stuff on, and the other could have the collage.
True. I remember in one of the previous episodes, it might have been number 11, the most recent one, I had brought out some of the minis that we'd painted.
Yeah.
And my grandmother talked to me on the phone recently, and she said, oh, next time you do that, you should hold the miniature up against the white background so it's easier to see. I had wrongly assumed that you would just edit in a picture of the mini so it would be a little easier to see. I should have asked you to do that.
Oh, sorry.
That's not your fault, but it's my fault for not mentioning it. But they are small and hard to see.
I was just trying to think. Someone did send me something, I think.
I have a breakfast from, I believe, our longtime viewer, supporter, friend, Jugs. He's got some, looks like his breakfast and his kid's breakfast. He does have two children. Sausage, eggs, some not toast, excuse me. Those are hash browns. Looks real good, actually. I wish I had some hash browns. We have some in the freezer, don't we?
We do have some.
I believe her parents handed us off some hash browns.
And I had already bought some when I went to Shaw's, so now we have like a lot of hash browns.
Tomorrow...
Went from 0 to like 100 hash browns.
Yeah, but she wasn't even home for breakfast this morning, so when I was making breakfast, I didn't even think to make hash browns. But tomorrow I'm going to cook up some hash browns. Believe it!
Believe it! I don't even know how to describe this, to be honest with you.
Well, did they not give you a description? Those just look like nuts.
It's like,
It's like bird food.
It does look like bird food.
Like some bird seed.
I think it's supposed to be like a granola, but it's got like nuts and coconut flakes or something in it, and looks like probably chia seeds, and it does look like bird food, you're right. But shout out to Sarah for
Sarah,
letting me take a picture.
I do apologize for roasting your meal, but it does look like bird food.
She made a ton of it, and then the past few weeks she's been having it for breakfast, and she was like, I'm so sick of this.
Yeah, that happens. You were gone this past week.
Yeah.
Which we can get into, or you can get into. I'll let you talk all about it. But she left on her trip on Tuesday morning, basically.
Tuesday
you had to go to school and then get on a plane or whatever. But on Sunday, she made chicken noodle soup for dinner, and she made a ton of it because I wasn't cooking dinner for myself while she was gone. And over the course of a week, I just picked away at the rest of the soup, and I must have eaten once on Sunday, and then I would have had it for lunch twice. So you left me 2 really large servings, which I cut both of those in half.
Yeah.
So I ate soup 5 times that week, basically, and it was very good. It was much better than that bird food. I assume I didn't have the bird food.
I thought you were going to say, and I'm sick of it.
No, I really enjoyed it. It was good.
Good.
I would eat it again.
Thank you. It's my first time making chicken noodle soup. Wow. Basically like chicken and rice, but it was noodles, but it wasn't like, I don't know, sometimes if you say chicken noodle soup, I think they assume they're like spaghetti noodles. It was like little shells. Mini shells.
And there could have been more broth in it, I guess.
Yeah. I just did not expect the broth to get sucked up the way it did. Thought I had plenty, but when I threw in the pasta, I think I could have done less pasta, and that would have been okay. But
pasta absorbed
it really absorbed all the broth, so you kind of ended up with a chicken noodle soup flavored pasta, probably.
Basically. But it was still good. That's at the end of the day, It was good. So thank you.
Yep. Sorry that there wasn't one last weekend. What were we doing last weekend?
You were studying and stuff.
No. Well, yes, but also I had last Saturday, which is when we normally film these, I had osteoblast and well, it was just osteoblast. Basically, I'm a orientation leader at my school, but there's also this thing we do called osteoblast, which is kind of like an accepted student's day.
You were gone from 8 to 4.
No, it was more like 7 to 3. Well, we had to be there at 7, which meant I had to leave at 6. I got up early that day, and then I was gone to 3 or something. And my mom was on a panel in the afternoon, so she came home with us. We had some Chinese food, which was good.
Yeah, I was playing video games at the time, and my phone rings at 3:30. And I ate lunch probably at 1:30. So then at 3:30, my phone was ringing, and it's her. I'm like, hey, what's up? She said, hey, I'm on my way home with my mom. Do you want Chinese food for dinner? I was like, it is 3:30. She's like, oh, it'll take us a little bit to get home. Okay. And in my mind, I assumed they were going to walk into the house with Chinese food in half an hour. So I was like, oh, I guess dinner at 4 should be okay. What ended up happening was I didn't get here until 4 or 4:30, and then we ordered the Chinese food, so we didn't end up eating until 4:30 or 5.
Yeah.
Which was obviously much more normal, but it was not what I comprehended when she was asking me about dinner at 3:30.
Yeah. But I told him, because it's it's not quite an hour to get home. It's not even. It's technically 35 minutes. But I was just assume it's gonna take an hour. I try and leave. If I have class at 8, I try and leave around 7, you know? It doesn't actually take that long to get there, but...
Oh, right, but I also assumed that you were gonna bring the food with you when you came home, not that we were then going to go get the food after.
Yeah, well, because I wanted to make sure, we got what you wanted, and then it'd just be easier to take one car rather than, I don't know who was gonna get it, all this stuff. It's better to just sit down and order it on the computer, all that stuff.
No, it makes sense. I was just bamboozled.
Yeah. So that's why we weren't, and of course, then the day after I still had to, I had to study because I have my quizzes on Monday. I call them tests because, one of them is literally called the Readiness Assurance Test, they're RATs. So, it's called a test in the name, but I said that, I think, at that osteoblast thing, and someone was like, quizzes. I was like, okay. It's called a test. It's only 20 questions, but
You should have, after they said, well, they were quiz, you just said, well, yes, the readiness aptitude tests that we have on Monday.
Yeah.
Literally acronym RAT.
Yeah. But whatever, that's fine. So I'm still going to call them tests because I study for them enough, they're tests. Holy cow,
And because we're only objectively right in this house.
I will say the first one is called a progressive quiz, so that is more like a quiz. But I have to say things out loud, and it's not multiple choice, so it feels like more. I don't know. Anyways, I had those to study for, so we just didn't do a real breakfast hours last week. And then this week, on Tuesday, I had class, and then pretty much right after, we had a stupid mandatory meeting at noon, and that was annoying because the people presenting to us for the meeting were zoomed in, but we still had to be in the lecture hall physically. And they were like, you can sign on to the Zoom if you have questions. But then when we get in there, they're like, make sure you're muted and everything and your sound's off because, you get the echo because we're all in the same room, all on Zoom.
It's like watching a movie together.
It was really, truly, I don't know why we had to be in that room. You could have just looked at who logged into the Zoom and who was on the Zoom and taken attendance that way, but apparently that's too much work, so we have to sign in on a little piece of paper and sit there. So that was really annoying. But then I got home, and my dad came, and he brought me to the bus station, which was going to take me to the airport that is an hour and a half away, because it's cheaper to fly out of Boston. So I flew out of Boston, And then I went to DC. And a lot of things happened.
Mm-hmm.
Many, many things. When we got there, well, we, take an Uber, we get into the hotel, we drop our stuff off. And then we did like a little bar hopping thing. We only went to 2 bars.
Scandalous.
But it was good. It was fun. And then the next day, because we were there for this conference. Conference is like a little bit of a strong word. I don't even know if I would call
Maybe
it
a seminar.
No, because it's like a activity thing. I don't know. It's called DO Day on the Hill, and it's like baby's first lobbying experience. Because the big part of it was Thursday. We went to meet with our representatives in government, like our Congress people from our state, and there was 3 issues that. Basically, Wednesday was, like, prepping us for the issues and, like, what to say and how to present it and, like, hook, line, sinker, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
And then Thursday was actually doing those meetings. But Wednesday, our thing didn't start till 3. Well, the check-in started at 3, and then it didn't really start till 4. So the morning, we were able to we went to the Natural History Museum, and then we went to the Lincoln Memorial, and that was pretty good. And then, yeah, on Thursday, we got to meet with the Congress people, and actually, that was pretty fun. I actually really liked it. And the thing I like about Washington, D.C., I mean, there's a lot I like about it. I didn't like any place that's, like, really walkable, because Maine is pretty not walkable.
True. Except Portland, the old port, but...
Yeah, the old port is fine for walking, but that's literally, like, the only place. And then, unless, I guess, you were, like, living there and you worked there, like, you would still need a car to get places. So just generally, Maine is not walkable, which sucks. It's just because it's so big and, like, a lot of it is very rural, so I don't know.
Well, and also, you gotta understand, there's a difference between, like, a city versus a state. Like, Washington, D.C., even though it's... like the whole area,
Yeah.
it is effectively just a city.
Yeah.
Where like you would say New York is a walkable city, but obviously the whole state can't possibly be walkable.
Yeah, but I mean, even the cities in Maine are not particularly walkable.
Yeah.
Which is what is upsetting.
They're not as dense as a place like DC or New York.
Yeah, there's still a lot more stuff spread out. And there's not really public transportation. There's no subway, so.
Yeah.
But in DC, it's very walkable, even though I didn't even do that much walking because the people I was with really were, like, opposed to walking. I don't know why. It was so nice out. But whatever. So, I didn't get to walk as much as I would have liked to, but that's okay. And then, the nice thing about it, we did walk a bit on Thursday, which was good. In DC, everyone's always, like, dressed up really nice. And so everyone looks like they're really important.
Well, you are in DC, so they might be important.
I mean, I think a lot of it is, like, staffers, too. Or, like, I don't know. There's probably people in, like, finance stuff that they're not even in the government. But they just, like, have an office job that you have to dress up nice for, too. But you never know. And it just feels like we're all playing dress up together. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to wrap your brain around being an adult, I guess. Because to me, it's still just like, oh my god, look at us all dressed up.
Well, you're also still in school, so the like mentality of being an adult is not really there yet. Because you're still in school, so it's like you spend your whole life as a kid in school, then you go to college, and that's like school for adults, kind of, but you're still like a college kid. They literally call you a college kid, right? And now you're in medical school, so you haven't left school yet.
Yeah, but the thing about medical school is, like, well, one, there's a lot more expected of you just because it's, like, professional school, and also there's a lot more, like, variation in age, so there are some people who are, like, full-grown adults.
Right, and, like, you are an adult,
and
you have responsibilities and all that, but it's not quite the same as being, like, an office worker,
Yeah, I still don't feel like an adult.
Yeah, whereas I, on the other hand... I started a new job, not this past Monday, but, a week before that, so 10, 11 days ago or something. I won't get too into the specifics of it, but basically, the company that I work for now, they produce a device mostly for imaging of water and other fluids that you might want to put in it. Like, for example, I'm still learning because it's only been 2 weeks, but one of the guys who was training me, he got sent a bunch of ink, but it was like in powder form, it wasn't liquid. And he suspended the ink in isopropyl alcohol and then pipetted just a small amount of this floating ink now into the device. And then it has essentially a microscope and a camera on the inside of it. And it will take pictures of all the little particles inside of it under what is essentially a microscope. And you can really see the shape and the details on all of these little microscopic particles within whatever you might put in there. So if you are the state of Illinois and you want to test the drinking water of your municipalities or whatever, you might buy one of these devices, get a bunch of samples from the neighborhood, put them all in there, and then if they're coming back nice and clean, you got good drinking water. If they're coming back with a bunch of little stuff that you can't see with the naked eye, that's gross, right? So my job in this new position I have, the job title is Field Service Engineer, which basically just means that I'm going to have a briefcase and a box that has one of these devices in it. And if you live in Utah, you might buy this device, and I'm going to get on a plane with the device, go to your lab in Utah, and install it and teach you how to use it, and then in 6 months, if something breaks, I'll come back and fix it. So, yeah, that's my new job. It's only been 2 weeks. I like it so far. All the people have been very friendly. Everybody keeps asking me, "Oh, how's your new job?" So we're gonna. This is the people who are asking are also the people who watch this type of thing, this stuff. So there it is. It's good. I like it, but it's only been 2 weeks, so I haven't gone on any planes and had to repair anything yet. So
what have you been doing?
a lot of it is onboarding, paperwork, training, getting to know people. We've booked you an hour meeting with the president to go over finances, like what the company top down looks like and what your role in that is. And here's an hour meeting of you and the other engineers, but these are not the field engineers. These are the people that physically build the device, and they'll show you, oh, these are the parts that tend to break. Here is, how you would open the machine to replace it. Or here is one of our scientists. This guy never leaves the building, basically, but he uses the device a lot because he's the guy that gets sent ink and has to test it. Because if you are, I don't know, I'll make something up. If you're NASA and you want to test some water samples, because maybe you want to buy one of our devices. These things are expensive, like, a year's salary expensive. So they, instead of just leaping and buying it, they may choose to send us some samples. We'll run them for them and then send them the pictures back and say, now look at these great pictures that our device can give you. Now you can see how useful it might be if you had one of your own. So it's like testing before, it's like a free sample before you buy it, basically.
Oh, nice.
So he's the guy that runs those free samples, and I've been working with him a lot to understand that and understand how it works.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it so far. We'll see how I like it in 6 months after I've been on a handful of planes.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of exciting that you get to go places, though.
One of the guys just came back home from Korea.
Whoa!
He was, I won't say where because I don't know what technically I'm supposed to say, but he was at a large company and he wasn't allowed to have his phone or anything like that when he came in.
Oh, what?
So, yeah, because for security reasons. So he would just go in and then basically had to be like he could have his phone up until he got to the door, and then he would go in and fix things or install things for them, teach them how to use it. And if he had some type of issue that he couldn't solve on his own, they always tell you to call like home base. Basically, somebody might know how to fix it if you don't know how, because the worst case scenario is nobody knows how to fix it, so we have to take it from you and bring it back home and figure it out together. you obviously don't want to do that because that's now the client doesn't have their item.
Yeah.
It costs money to do that. It costs us money. It costs you money. Everybody's unhappy. But he couldn't make phone calls while he was there, so he would have to like step out of the building to make a phone call. But now he's in Korea, and we are in Maine, so there's a massive time difference, and it was a whole mess. But he survived, and he's home now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yes.
But it's kind of cool to be all the way over there.
Yes, I'm both excited and apprehensive about what might happen for me at this job. So, but hey, money's better than the last place. Notably better. I won't say what, but it is definitely an improvement, a noticeable improvement.
That's good. Even though I'm gonna miss you when you leave.
One of these guys, his girlfriend lives 2 hours. Like they don't live together; they're 2 hours away.
Oh, what?
Because they lived together before, but then he got this job and like had to. Now they're separated, and he's just never around now. Like he's the guy that's always gone, like way more than the other people. There's like 4 or 5 of us. They, this guy travels by far the most out of the group of us, because he like doesn't have a wife to come home to, basically because they don't live together.
Oh.
The other guy has like a newborn, so he never leaves. Whereas this guy lives alone, so he's always gone.
Interesting. Wow. Hopefully that's not you.
I certainly will. Well, he also jumps every time they're like, all right, we need somebody to go. He's like, me.
Oh.
Not saying that I'm not going to contribute, but I am saying that I'm not going to be the guy that's leaping to be away for a week.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Lots of exciting new things recently for both of us.
Now when somebody asks me, so how's your new job? I'm going to say, you should watch Real Breakfast Hours, episode 12.
Yeah. Also, I think next weekend we might not be able to film again.
What?
This week is the last week of new content. The week after is my block week. My big test week.
It's okay, we'll get up at 6 a.m., record
Nope.
for an hour.
I'm not gonna do that because
I'll
I
record
still have
without
to
her.
edit. Okay, yeah, go ahead, edit the video without myself. Go ahead.
She wouldn't let me do that anyway.
We'll have this episode and then it'll be another week, I guess, without one. Sorry to say.
We gotta get a soundboard.
I would love a soundboard.
That would be very
I gotta
fun.
figure out how to get one.
Well, you got any other points you want to talk about? You came in with no notes?
I've had a busy 2 weeks.
I've got one more note that's actually 4. It's 4 bullet points, but they're all from one thing because it's about the Bruins, baby. Oh, the Bruins. It's all about the Bruins. I love it, the Bruins. It's like the Mets. It's all about the Mets.
Yep, gotta love the Mets.
I actually do not care for the Mets. I'll say it. I don't care for the Mets. But, actually, my mistake. I have 3 points about the Bruins. The 4th point is actually I watched some UFC with a couple of friends of mine. And my point isn't even about the fight, even though the fights were good. My point is about one of the guys went to his corner to get some water and, have his face patted or whatever before the next round began. And the camera was like up here, and all his guys were right here with their backs to the camera, and he was in the corner. The guy that the camera was directly over had a massive bald spot right in the back of his head. And it's one of those things where he has hair everywhere else except for that one spot.
No.
So, people probably, and he was tall. He was reasonably tall. So it's probably, most people don't ever see his bald spot except for the freaking camera guy. He's just looking straight down at it. And now all of China knows you have a bald spot. So that was funny and a bit mean, but it was funny. But the Bruins. Since our last podcast, because we missed last week, so this is actually old news now, but it would have occurred before we missed that podcast, so 2 weeks ago. The Bruins have now become the fastest team to have 50 wins in a season, the fastest team to earn 100 points in a season. They have the all-time win record in the regular season, and they have the all-time points record in the regular season. So, as far as a regular season goes, I don't really know what kind of argument you can make that this isn't the best regular season team, like possibly ever. I'm still reasonably new to hockey, so I'm sure people would like to argue with me about that, and that's fine. I might be wrong, but I don't really know. Like from a statistical perspective, I don't know what else you could do,
Right.
like to get that title. You're like, oh well, they don't have the most points. Well, actually, they do. Oh well, they didn't have the most wins. Well, actually, they do. Oh well, they don't have the most points record like for in a season. They do. Like,
Yeah.
what else do they need? The only other thing would obviously be to then go and win the Stanley Cup. The playoffs have begun. They started this week. Monday was the first game. For those of you who don't know, the NHL hockey boys, they play 7 games in a series. So like each round of the playoffs, it's not, for football you play 1 game, you lose, you're done. In hockey, you have to play up to 7 games. And the Bruins won their first game. They're playing against the Florida Panthers. They won their first game on Monday. They actually lost on Wednesday, and people were like, "Oh no, this is the end of the wins. So much for the dream team," which is hilarious. They literally lose 1 game, and people start talking that way. But last night, we could also talk about what we had for dinner last night.
Yeah.
Last night, well, I didn't get to watch the whole game because we were out to eat, but it was very good. We'll talk about that in a second. But they, in the first period, I believe, or at least when I checked, because I was checking the score, they were up 2-0 at one point, or at least 2-1. And they ended up winning 4-2. And that was with like a handful of their starters not even playing the game. Their own captain wasn't in the game. He didn't play at all. He didn't play last night. The coach said that a handful of their players were out sick.
Oh, no.
Probably just from traveling. Like some of their score leaders weren't in the game. And they still crushed these guys 4-2. So, even against the momentum. My point is, the Bruins are going to beat these Panthers, and they're going to go to the next round. And then I'm going to have more to talk about. And it's going to be Litsky.
I'd love to see it.
You'd love to see it, or go Bruins.
But yeah, so we did go out to eat last night. I guess I'll have to throw in some pictures. But we went to this place. Should I say the name of it?
No.
No, okay.
No. Just when we went out for seafood.
Yeah, we went out for seafood. And we had a lot of food.
Yes, we took pictures.
So, we were going back and forth. Do I want to get a lobster? Do I want to get the lobster mac and cheese? Do I want to get... They had these these crab stuffed mushrooms. So it was like, oh, should we get that? There was lobster stew that I kind of wanted. And then why we really went out for seafood is because he had been craving steamers. Would you like to explain what steamers are?
For those of you who don't live in New England, or do live in New England, or are actually just under a rock, a steamer is a steamed clam. Very simple. They just give them to you in a bag, in a bucket, on a plate, however, kind of up to the establishment. These people, they gave them to us in a bucket. There was 3 options for the bucket: small, medium, and large. Normally, and it was kind of a more expensive place because it was in the city, but I was thinking there was going to be kind of a modest amount, so I was prepared to get the large, but I decided, turns out the lobster actually comes with a few steamers too, so I will just get the medium, and then I'll have however many with the lobster. Well, we got the medium, and this bad boy was big. You're going to see, there's going to be a picture on the screen here, I imagine. There was a lot of clams in that bucket. They just come steamed, obviously, and they give you a little cup of water to clean them in, and a cup of melted butter to dunk them in, and you just pop them in your mouth. They're delicious. I love them. I've loved them my whole life, and I'm already looking forward to having them again.
Although I will say, so I'm pretty new to eating them. I never used to think I would like them. They look a little gross, so it is a little off-putting. But the past few times he's gotten them, I've had some, and I'm coming around to them. I feel like I like them more and more. Or at least sometimes, I don't know. Every so often you get one, or you get like sand in one, and then that's a little bit like... But they're pretty tasty.
Hard to go wrong with just something dunked in butter.
Yeah, that's why I like the seafood so much, because just dip it in butter and it's so good. But I was telling him, I said to him last night, I was like, I've never been so full of clams.
Yeah, Yeah, I came home with a gut full of clam. I was like, sheesh.
It was a lot. But the lobster stew was really good. I don't like mushrooms, so I had one of the crab stuffed ones, and I was like, ugh.
Those are good.
I'm not a mushroom gal, so I didn't like them, but he liked them, so it's just good, because I wasn't eating anymore after the first one I had.
Not pictured. I don't think we got a picture of it.
Oh yeah, I didn't have my soup.
Lobster bisque or something.
Lobster stew.
Lobster stew.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh, sorry. Missed that one.
Now you're having a stroke.
I guess so. I was so zoned in on the crab mushrooms that I just blanked on the lobster stew.
But yeah, we didn't get a picture of it, but it was good. There's a good amount of lobster in it. And there was a really big piece that I gave to you.
It was like a size this big. Which
it was like a whole claw.
It's huge for lobster stew.
Yeah. And then you got a lobster, like a steamed lobster, or baked lobster or something?
Steamed lobster, normal, like boiled.
Boiled lobster, yeah, whatever. I got lobster mac and cheese, which actually was not as good as I've had some like really good lobster mac and cheese. This one was not particularly that good, but that was okay because we'd already had so much other stuff.
It wasn't quite as like cheesy as some of the other ones. Yours was more like a dish with shells and some lobster.
It really felt like there was barely any cheese in the mac and cheese.
Yeah,
it was weird.
We've had other ones,
especially usually with lobster mac and cheese, you'll have Gruyere cheese in it, which is kind of a weird cheese, but it goes good with the lobster. It pairs well with it, so it's a good.
Fills the shells well.
And that, yeah, but this one I think it was literally just like a white cheddar, and it really just it almost tasted like just buttered noodles, you know, like there was not that much flavor from the cheese, which is usually what you get with like the Gruyere and I assume some other cheeses they add to it, usually like really just make it a fuller flavor.
I gave her a couple of bites of my lobster. She seemed good.
Yeah, and actually, I didn't even think your lobster was it was not the best lobster I've ever
good.
had. I don't know, there's something about it. It tasted different than others.
Maybe she really was having a stroke.
No, I don't think it was. It just wasn't the best lobster I've had.
I thought it was pretty good.
So
I don't. I might have had better lobster somewhere else, but not to the point where I was like, this isn't right.
Well, you're also from Connecticut.
But what the heck?
I'm just saying.
You're a goon. You act like they don't have lobsters in Connecticut.
Not the same.
How? How far away is Connecticut from Maine?
Maine lobster is very different.
Maybe if you're in the top of Maine. Like, I'm just saying. I agree, New England lobster is different than like if you're in Florida. By the way, we were on a cruise last year. Year before?
May.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. A year ago. Like almost exactly a year ago. It'll be a year next month. Lovely cruise. Everything was great. Had some very delicious food on that boat. Except the lobster.
It was disappointing.
The lobster was not good.
It was just lobster tails. I got 2. So it is nice that you can get like as many as you want. But it was like kind of dry.
Yeah. I was like, now this ain't. It's because they were warm water or they're probably grown like in a fish tank on the boat or something like that. The point is the lobster's like cold water.
Yeah. Which actually, concerningly, the Gulf of Maine, which is obviously the water near Maine, is apparently the fastest warming body of water on the planet.
They're coming for a lobster.
So, I don't know. The lobster might not be as good. But that's why, I mean, Connecticut's definitely warmer than up here, and ours is already warming really fast, so it is slightly better in Maine, I think.
Could be. Could be a few percentage points better in Maine, because it's colder. But yeah, further north, and usually northeast, because it's like, I wouldn't get lobster outside of New England, let's put it that way.
Yeah. I think...
Unless you're in Alaska.
We went out to eat somewhere that it had lobster, and I thought about it for a second, and I was like, wait, I'm in DC.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I won't.
Yeah, no, this is somebody's lobster they're growing here or something like that, versus there's no fresh caught lobster in Florida. Right? How could there be?
Yeah, and that's the other thing is you have to look out. Sometimes they'll advertise it as Maine lobster, but usually if it's Maine lobster, not all of them, some of them do genuinely, like, it was raised and, like, caught in Maine, and then they just, like, import or whatever, and then it is still good. But sometimes they'll call it Maine lobster, but they just, like, get it from Maine, but then like it's like a baby or whatever, and they like raise it in the warm water, so it's still
or maybe
not
they'll like breed lobsters from Maine, but in Florida.
Yeah.
And now, like, yes, genetically it might be a Maine lobster, but it's not the same. It won't taste right.
Yeah, the cold water is like huge for it. So.
Yes. Anyway, lovely dinner, lovely meal. That's all I had to talk about. I know your list was pretty short today, so I can already see what she has pulled up on her computer. Why don't you lay it on?
Okay, so bringing back the Am I the Asshole Reddit stuff. It's been a really long time since we've done some of these, so I think it'll be fun. But this one looked pretty good. I don't know what you think. But,
Whatever one you pick is fine. We can go crazy within reason.
Yeah, how about the last one that you were like, I don't want to do this?
It's not even for my sensitivity. There are some senior citizens who watch this content, and I do not want to upset them.
That's okay. I think they can handle it.
So true.
Okay. So this one was posted 8 hours ago, so it's pretty
fresh.
Pretty fresh. It says,
certified fresh.
Am I the asshole for telling my sister she is shaping up to be the mother-in-law from hell and is just like her own mother-in-law? So drama. My sister is 33 and I'm 25. My sister has been married to Kevin since she was 18 and has 4 kids with him who are 8, 6, 5, and 3. It's a good amount of kids. Sheesh. Her oldest 2 and her youngest are boys, and her 5-year-old is a girl. My sister has always complained about her mother-in-law being too in her husband's business, being too possessive of her husband, and doesn't respect her as the mother of her grandchildren or her son's wife. She's also mentioned how her husband's 2 sisters have nothing to do with their mom because she heavily favored her boys and never took on the same level of interest in them. This was 100% my sister. She was one of those boy moms who talks about girls one day taking her babies away from her, how she'll be dad's mom and never see her, how she'll be dad's mom and never see grandkids, how her boys won't need her as much when they get older, and how sad it makes her. She posts all sorts of memes about that and has even made some videos for her Instagram where she talks about boy mom life and has cried on videos saying she'll miss her boys when they move out and get married. My niece is the only child she never mentions in these videos. She has never talked about a future son-in-law taking her baby girl away from her or anything like that. She even cried to our mom a couple of times about how she's going to have her babies leave her one day and not want to be her little guys anymore. A couple of times when she brought this stuff up to me, I have asked her why she's just sad about her boys growing up or why she'd want them to have the same relationship as now. In 20 years, she always ignores me. I have 2 kids myself. My son is 2.5, and my daughter was born a couple of weeks ago, and I'm excited for them to grow up and be amazing people. But I also enjoy the moments we have now, and I feel as though my job as their mom and my husband's as their dad is to help them grow into amazing people while also caring for their needs while they are too little to do that for themselves. A couple of days ago, my niece was with me for the day, and she asked me if I was sad that I had a girl this time. I told her no, that I love my daughter and would not trade her for the world. I asked her why she'd asked me that, and she said she feels like her mommy wishes she was a boy too, and how her mom prefers her brothers. She also mentioned her mom not spending time with her, and she asked me to speak to her mom for her. I spoke to my sister yesterday and told her my niece was feeling neglected and maybe she should spend some time with her. She waved that off, and then I saw she was posting again about boy moms and saying she will always be #1 woman in their lives. I told her she needs to cut that stuff out because it's creepy and she is shaping up to be the mother-in-law from hell, and just like her own mother-in-law she hates so much, she accused me of talking out of my ass and having no idea what it's like. Am I the asshole?
Yikes.
Sounds like the most insufferable person.
I am a boy, obviously. I have a mother who loves me very deeply. My mom. I also have 2 sisters that my mother loves just as much. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the relationship is the same because you have different relationships with all your children. They are, of course, I assume, right? They are. I'm not a parent, so I'm a little bit talking out my ass, but just from observing my parents and my siblings and other people and their parents, it's not a stretch to say that you might have a different you're an only child, so
Yeah.
not quite the same experience for you, but it's not a ludicrous statement to say that you may have a different relationship with each of your children. And it's not entirely crazy to say that maybe if you have 2 daughters and 2 sons, like the relationship is even more a little different because some of them are boys and some of them are girls.
Mm-hmm.
But a good parent is supposed to still love them all equally, if not the same, at least the same amount. You know, like it would be hard to love them identically because they're different people with different relationships and different lives.
Yeah.
But the like volume of love that they get should be the same. And if you post about 3 out of 4 of your kids all the time, and then the 4th one tells you, "Mom, I wish you loved me more," like, that's messed up. And then to like, it is true that some people might look at your relationship with you and your children and say, like, if your sister came up to you and be like, "Weird that you only love one of your kids," that would be a really messed up thing to say to somebody, unless it's true. You know, like, I don't know, it's messed up to say that type of stuff to somebody, but it's way more messed up to always single out 3 out of 4 of your kids and how much you're gonna miss those 3, and you just never talk about the 4th one.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like crying on Instagram because you're so sad that like a girl is gonna take your boys and I'm always gonna be his number one woman. It's like these like mother-in-law from hell types that like people talk about online. I don't even know how you get like that. Like, you have a husband, right? Although I did hear like a theory that like the husband is not providing in a way, so like the mom looks to the son for like emotional, like, I guess like emotional labor in a way, like the stuff that she's not getting from her husband, which is why you get this really weird and like obsession with the son, which gets into like Oedipus complex levels sometimes. It's like so gross. I mean, your job as a parent is, yeah, to like take care of them when they're young and like just try and make them the best human that they can possibly be and just like love them and support them in that. Like, you can't control them their whole lives, and yeah, like they're gonna be in a relationship someday and they're gonna make their own family. Like, your role is gonna shift, and that's just how it is.
It's important to note that you can have some of these feelings without them being like weird and gross and overbearing. Like, to bring up my mom again, my relationship with my mother is extremely different than hers is with my father. Like, they love each other deeply. They live together. They're approaching 30 years together. But how could she possibly have the same relationship with him that she has with me? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right? So, and she's my mom, so when I was like a baby, she had to nurture me and stuff like that, and there's just a level of closeness that just couldn't possibly exist with another man, another boy. So that changing is, of course, a big deal. But you have to understand that, like, for me, I have a mom and I have 2 sisters and I have you. Mm-hmm. You guys are the most important women in my life, of course. Only one of you is going to become my wife, who will then be the mother of my children, right? And then maybe I'll have a daughter and she'll become like the most important woman in my life, right? Things change, but they're supposed to change, and that doesn't mean I love my mom less if we get married, you know?
Yeah. It's just like, I don't, like, some of these parents that like get really obsessive about their kids and like to the point where they're like, I'm gonna be so sad when like they get married and stuff like that. It's just like, you know, things are like not gonna be the same. Like, people evolve, and especially, I mean, a kid going to a teen to an adult to like having their own family, like, that's a lot of big changes. And your role, like I said, is going to shift, and also just like how often you see them might shift, or just like their relationships with other people are going to shift. And it doesn't mean they love you less. It's just a different time of your life, and there's like maybe different priorities or just different stuff going on, and it's just like you can't expect it to be stagnant, that they're always going to be your little boys, you know, like that's just not realistic. And like for this, her oldest is an 8-year-old boy, so he's going to be coming up on puberty in like, I don't know, 5 or so years maybe, I don't know, like it depends, but like he's coming up on it. And what's she going to do when he starts like dating girls? He's going to be like super obnoxious. It sounds like it. I have a feeling that, like, I don't know. This is the thing with the boy moms and then, like, the mama's boys, I suppose. Which is, like, not necessarily a bad thing, but when it gets to this level, like, this can only go one of 2 ways. I guess it can go another way. But I have a feeling it strongly goes one of 2 ways, that either the boy is going to be insufferable because you're going to do everything for him, and then he's never going to learn to do anything, and when like a girl dates him, he's going to expect her to do like all the chores and like all the everything, you know what I mean? Like he's going to not do anything for himself. He's going to be like a big baby and like very entitled. That's one way this goes, right? Because you're so obsessed with them that you're like, do everything for them and they're perfect and they can't do anything wrong. So then they don't like have a moral backbone and they don't like fend for themselves. That's one way. Another potential way, they literally avoid you when they get older because you're so overbearing and weird that they start to like actually not like you anymore.
Growing up and even now, my mom always did like almost everything for me. She packed my lunch for school all the way up through high school. She did the laundry for a while, though. And once we got into middle school and high school, she started like her and my dad were like, all right, you guys got to start doing some chores. So we would like take turns doing the dishes and take turns doing the laundry and stuff like that. But my mom always cooked and she did most of the cleaning and made my lunch for me. And like recently I was home and it was before I moved out. I moved out over a year ago. And 2 years ago, I guess, right? Because we've been here. It'll be a year in July, and I was in Massachusetts for a year. So yeah, almost 2 years I've been out of my parents' house. But it was right before that. I was on my way to an interview or something, and my mom like ironed my shirt for me or something. And my dad was always like, you butter his toast, you iron his pants, you fold his clothes too? Like, let him do some stuff for himself. And my mom always said that she likes to do it because one day I'm going to be gone and she won't get to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And to me, that just means she loves me and I like that. And I still like that. And if I came home now and I asked my mom, would you make me a sandwich? She would do it because she likes to, because she loves me. And it's not weird. But I pack my own lunches now. I iron my own clothes now. I do the laundry in this house. You cook and I do the dishes and do the laundry, and we share the chores.
Yeah.
You do the grocery shopping. I am not some half-baked male that can't take care of himself, but my mom did like to do things for me.
Yeah.
And there's a way that you can have this strong mother-son relationship without coming out as like a mama's boy or something. I love my mom, I do, and I always loved that she did this stuff for me, but that relationship is not the same that she's having here. And as I said before, she has 3 children. Only one of us, my older sister, posts things online, really.
Yeah. So
when my mom is sending Facebook posts or whatever about her daughter, my older sister, other people will be like, where's your other daughter? You know, that's because she doesn't post on social media. There are no pictures of my other sister because she doesn't take them.
Yeah.
She doesn't live with my mom. She has no pictures to post. I don't send my mom pictures. She has to like call me and beg me to send her photos because I just don't. But her third child, her firstborn, sends her pictures all the time, calls her every day. Not because my mom loves her more, but because the relationship is different. Yeah. So like, from a certain point of view, I get only posting some of your kids. I get only having some of these Facebook posts in a certain different relationship and buttering your son's toast for him and folding his clothes and all that. Because I went through it and I experienced it. It was all good and healthy and everybody is loved equally. But that does not sound like what's happening here. It sounds like she's neglecting the fourth kid. The fourth kid needs to call for help, and then she doesn't get it.
It's very different in your family's case because you're all adults and like have some agency. These are kids that they're all under 10.
Yeah.
Most of them are like under 8. Well, they're all under 8, or one is 8. They're like pretty young, so it's not like, I don't even think at that point you have a kid saying, no, don't post me. I don't think any of the kids are saying that. I don't even think the kids probably know very well.
My mom pulls her hair out around Christmas time because my sisters are so picky about what I don't post, but I don't care if I am posted for the most part, unless I'm like picking my nose or something in the picture you're taking me. I don't know, but
you didn't want me to send the silly picture.
It's because I was making a ridiculous face. I was like,
it was pretty
at the
good
camera
though.
or something. Like, I was like, no, don't post that one. That one was silly. It was unintentional. But anyway, like on Christmas, it might be me and my 2 sisters, and my mom will take a picture of us all, and we're all in our pajamas, and my sisters haven't done their hair or their makeup or whatever. And they'll be like, Mom, don't post that.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, because I'm like that too.
But a 6-year-old isn't going to tell you
but
that.
No, so I don't think that's the case. And also, like, I don't... Like, yeah, my parents did, like, pretty much everything for me, too. So, I'm not saying that, like, you can't be a functioning person. I think there just has to... Like, I think there has to be other consequences, maybe, that, like, you wouldn't get if you're, like, so, like, crazy about them. Or just, like, making sure that they know how to do those things, even if you're doing them for them. Like, I know how to do the dishes, and I knew how to cook some stuff because I asked my parents. But they still... You know, cook dinner, do the laundry.
And also, going away to college was a big experience for that. Like, your mom's not there to do your laundry and cook your meals and iron your shirts when you're away at college. So and I knew how to do that stuff. I just generally didn't do it. But in college, you obviously have to. And then I lived alone for a year. So I'm fully capable of doing all those things.
Yeah.
But it's nice when you go back to mom and dad's house that your mom does them for you like she did when you were a kid.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. I don't think doing that stuff is bad. But I don't know, like, because there's people who, like, don't do anything for themselves. I mean, how do those people get like that? I can only assume it's related to some part of their parents doing everything for them, and then I don't know what else goes wrong that they still don't do anything wrong for them. But...
Yeah, and my dad was always good about, well, you have to make him do some stuff himself. Like, sometimes I feel like if my dad didn't complain, my mom would have somehow found a way to do even more.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there is some people who are, like, 30 and come home to make their mom do their laundry.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know how those people get like that, but I only assume it's, like, some extreme version of this.
Yeah. But, no, Reddit user... Remarkable Tail 158. You are not the asshole. Your sister needs to do a better job of acknowledging that she has a daughter.
Yeah, not neglecting her.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty big for a 5-year-old to tell their, like, aunt.
Yeah, it must be bad.
Like, I feel like my mom doesn't love me.
Yeah, and that's also another problem with social media, is that, one, this means that either, like, the home life is so disproportionate that the 5-year-old can tell without seeing their mother's post that they're not getting the same level of love, or the 5-year-old is tech savvy enough to see that their mother never posts about them online. Both of those are bad.
It sounds more like it's the first one, though. Like, I don't even know that she has access to social media. Maybe it is a combo of it, but it sounds like, just in general, she's kind of being neglected.
Yeah.
So.
That one sounds funny.
This one? You want to read this one?
Yeah, sure. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Am I the asshole for not preventing a toddler from running into a pool? I was at a relative's house with my family and friends, and we were having a small pool party. Anyone I've ever explained this to seems to be shocked at my reaction, so I'll just get this out of the way. I have no experience with children. I've never held, talked to, or even been in the same area as a child for longer than a few minutes before this. The toddler's mother was a friend of my aunt. I was sitting outside by the pool on a pool chair. At this moment, pretty much everyone was inside because the game was on. I was just outside alone by the pool. I don't know how to swim, but I had on trunks and enjoyed putting my legs in the water. I was on my phone too, so I wasn't really paying attention. From like the corner of my eye, I see a toddler sprinting away, but I didn't think much of it. Everyone seems to think I should see a hint of a child and immediately go into parental mode and stop the child, but my mind didn't even connect. I just continued on my phone, then I heard a splash. That's when I looked and saw the kid in the deep end of the pool. I shouted, the kid fell in the pool, and someone ran out, jumped in, and pulled the kid out. The kid is fine, but the mother and some other people were angry at me and said I should have stopped the kid from getting in. I just said they ran in. The mother also said I should have pulled the kid out, but I told her I can't swim. She seems to think I'm some colossal asshole. I was going on and on, and no matter what I said, she would just keep cutting me off and repeat herself, and was really whiny. So I just told her that I'm done talking to her. I didn't know her before the day, so if this random lady thinks I'm a dick, oh well. I just got back in the chair and ignored her the rest of the day. A few other people are agreeing with her and saying, you see a child, you just become alert, it's natural. If I were walking down the road in a dark night and see a child alone, I'd stop and see to the kid. But this was a party and I didn't think the kid would just jump in. I don't really know how kids behave. Edit. I've received a million messages saying I should learn to swim for my own safety. I grew up poor and never even saw a pool in person until I was 17. There was no community pool. I'm not about to be the 25-year-old in a swim class. LOL. I have no plans on going boating or fishing anytime in life, so it's all good. Man, I don't really like this guy. Like, I get you can't swim, so you weren't about to dive in a pool and make it worse.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm just having this mental image of, like, everybody else is inside watching a sports game or something, which... Whose kid is this? Why aren't you watching them, first of all?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's really his fault. Like, it was the kid's parents.
Right, but also I'm, like, imagining, like, you know, this guy outside alone at a party can't swim, but he's hanging out by the pool alone. And then, hey, there's a kid in the pool. You know, like, it's weird. It's a weird image. But I do think it's weird not to be able to swim. I get that you were poor or whatever, but I don't know. I always thought it was weird that people can't swim.
I know. It's hard to believe in this day and age. Like, there's people that don't know how to swim.
You never been to the beach? You were literally at a pool. One time when I was home from college, my ex-girlfriend, who we're still friends with, her new boyfriend couldn't swim. And I was like, bro, you got to bring that guy over. He needs to learn how to swim. And I was like teaching this guy how to swim. It's not hard. You just move your arms a little bit. It's a pool. Like, you're not going to drown in 5 feet of water. Just swim. Yeah,
it's just hard to imagine someone not knowing how to swim because you literally just move your arms.
And what do you, like...
And your legs. But
some pools are pretty deep. They're like, a family friend of ours, they have a pool where the deep end is like 15 feet.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty deep. Like, some pools, like my grandparents had a pool where the deep end was only like 6 feet. So
yeah, I feel like usually the deep end is only like 5 or 6 feet.
No, this pool, my grandparents' pool was deep. I'm tall. I'm 6'3". I can just stand at the deep end. And even if I could not swim, if a child is drowning in 5 feet of water, just walk in and grab them, first of all. Second of all, if it was, some big old 15 feet of water, you as a parent need to be doing a better job watching your kid around that.
Yeah, but I was wondering like what the deep end was, because I'm like, how tall is this guy? Because like you could literally you could stand. You don't even need to swim. Just go in and...
15 might be an exaggeration, but it's like deep enough that I need to swim to get to the bottom.
Yeah. Like
it might be 10 or 12, but definitely deep enough that like I as a grown man cannot just stand on it. And I do think that if you are an adult and you see an unattended child around a deep pool, maybe you need to do a little better about policing them. I don't know. I get it's not your kid, so you're not as concerned. But I also think it's really weird that you've never been around a kid before.
There's like some weird red flags with him, but I also feel like he's not really the asshole. Because like, what if he wasn't there? Like, like, yeah, he didn't... Like, they're blaming it on him because he was there, but the kid would have still run and, like, jumped in the pool if he wasn't there, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, the parents were not watching, like it's... I don't know.
In fact, they're lucky he was there, because if he had been inside with everybody else, and your kid jumps into 10 feet of water, what, do they just die? Like,
yeah.
I do think it's weird that he's the only person outside and everybody else is inside doing something together, it seems like, but not as weird as letting your kid run out there. Where some guy you don't know, like the woman, the mother, I guess he said he doesn't know her. You just let your kids run around a pool with people you don't know as their only supervisors.
But I mean, I know kids like are They can really
Yeah, kids can get
Yeah.
wild, and it's hard. You obviously can't blame the kid.
slippery.
If they're a toddler, you can't really blame the kid. They don't know any better. Obviously, so nobody's blaming the kid, I would hope.
No, I don't think anybody's blaming the kid. It's just like a lot of people going like, oh, well, the parents should have been watching, and then other people going, well, like, oh, he's still a bystander. He should still do something about it. Which, I mean, technically, at least he did yell that, like, the kid was in there. I feel like, I don't know. He probably could have gone in, assuming that the deep end is like 6 feet. He probably could have just gone in. But at least he yelled so someone else could come get him if he was really, like, not wanting to go in the water because he can't swim. Like, he could have just not said anything. That would have been bad. Because if he wasn't out there, no one would have known the kid was in the pool.
It's true, though. It's also possible that if he wasn't out there, somebody like the mother would have done a better job of making sure their kid wasn't out there. Like, because you maybe as a parent see, oh, there is an adult with my kid in the pool. It should be fine. But you don't know that the adult is on their phone, not paying attention, doesn't even know how to swim.
Yeah. I mean, it's also hard because, like, she didn't even know. They didn't even know each other, so.
And I'm not saying that you, as an adult, need to constantly be aware of other people's children. But, like, a little bit, maybe you do, you know? Like, if you are an adult and you see an unattended child, like, a little bit, it's kind of your job to make sure nothing happens to them.
Yeah. It's, like, hard. Because, like, yeah, the parent should do a better job, but should probably, like, at least kind of keep an eye out if there's an unattended child.
Yeah, this guy might not be the asshole, but he is a weirdo.
He's very weird. He has very red flags in his thing. Like, I don't even know how you get to be, like, that old and not have any experience with children.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a ton of experience with children, but, like, dang, at least I have, like, little cousins that I've been around before.
Well, right.
So
I've never, like, bottle fed a child or something like that. But
Yeah.
I have enough intelligence, enough IQ points to know that a child sprinting around a pool unattended is probably a bad sign. And that maybe I should pay a little bit more attention. He even said he saw the kid alone out of the corner of his eye, right? Before they went to the pool, he saw a kid running.
What? What was the question?
He saw the kid before they went in the pool.
He, like, saw him out of the corner of his eye, it sounded like.
Enough to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't care if you can't swim. If you can stand in the water, just grab them.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Maybe it was, like, a really deep end one.
Yeah, giving him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's like 15 feet of water and you can't get the kid out.
I do find that hard to believe, though, that, like, at just some house, that their pool is that deep. Because I feel like most of the pools at people's houses that I've been to, it went to, like, 6 feet. And, like, when you go to, like, a hotel, it's just, like, to 6 feet or whatever, so.
Yeah, so I'm prepared to say not the asshole, just a weirdo.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching.
We appreciate it.
Sorry that we were not able to make one last week, and that there's not going to be one next week either.
Terrible. I can't believe the crimes we all must endure.
It's my fault. But then I'm going to be done. Also, hopefully, I did take some videos in DC, so I'm hopefully going to put together, like, a little vlog from it. Maybe, potentially. I would like to. So be on the lookout for that. It might be a few weeks because I got my big test coming up.
But then it's summer vacation for our little doctor in training over here.
Yeah, like 6 weeks. Ooh.
Exciting.
I know.
But yeah, thank you for watching. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, I guess. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Send us your breakfast.
Send us your breakfast. Doo, doo, doo.
Bye.
Oh, jeez. Bye.
Bye.
You want to say that again?
Can we get much higher? So high. Oh, One Piece. The One Piece. The One Piece is real.
Wow. You already said what he had?
Yes.
Oh.
You having a stroke in the podcast?